Gould to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call will reflect that all board members are present, with Ms. Porras attending remotely, and all cabinet members are present. Dr. May-Volmar?
Yes, thank you very much. We have a brand new student board member this evening, and we're very excited to have you, Kylie. As we normally do, I'm going to share a few highlights about you before we do the oath of office. So Kylie's experience in Desert Sands, she's actually been with us since elementary school. She attended Amelia Earhart Elementary School, Desert Ridge Academy, and now is a Shadow Hills High School student. Some of the highlights of her educational experience include taking AP and dual enrollment courses at her high school. And in her free time, she enjoys traveling, making jewelry, spending time with loved ones, and shopping. We would get along great. She's been in ASB since 6th grade, which is wonderful. She's participated in her school's LINK program for 2 years in a row. And you can't tell anyone else I said this, but when she wrote an interesting fact about herself, you probably will be my favorite student board member because she is a Starbucks barista and I am a coffee fanatic. So, so if you'll meet me down front, we'll do the oath of office.
Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the annual organizational meeting and the regular meeting of December 12th, 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-6-0 with one preferential vote. Board meeting addenda. Dr. May-Volmar, is there any addenda tonight's agenda?
There is none this evening.
Due to the contracts we have on the agenda tonight, I will be reading a statement prior to the approval of the minutes. California Government Code Section 54953C3 requires an oral summary of a recommendation for a final action on the salaries, salary schedules, and compensation to be paid in the form of fringe benefits to be paid to a local agency executive. In addition, Government Code Section 53262 mandates that employment contracts for local agency executives be ratified in open session. In order to comply with these requirements, we will be providing an oral summary in connection with agenda items 29.2 and 30.2. Agenda items 29.2 and 30.2 recommend approval of individual amendments to the employment agreements for the positions of superintendent, assistant superintendent student support services, assistant superintendent personnel services, assistant superintendent educational services, assistant superintendent business services, and recommend approval of an amended salary schedule for the assistant superintendent business services. All of these amendments provide a 7.20% salary increase effective July 1st, 2023, a one-time $900 stipend payable the next payroll period, and a 1.27% increase to the annual health and welfare cap. Approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda of regular meeting of January 16th, 2024?
So moved. Alvarez.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with one preferential vote. Community and staff student recognition, Dr. May Volmar.
Yes, I'd like to invite our Public Information Officer, Mary Perry, up to the podium.
I love walking by my chair section. Thanks, guys. I know, I appreciate it. So you may see a few Shadow Hills varsity jackets tonight. And you've noticed, I hope, that I did not use the outdated term Letterman jackets, because these incredible athletes are the members of the Shadow Hills girls cross-country team. Woohoo! And they're here tonight to be recognized for their amazing season. It took them all the way to state for the second year in a row. So among their accomplishments are the 2023 Desert Empire League champions. They qualified for CIF for the 9th straight season. They finished 6th at the CIF Southern Section Division III Finals, which qualified them for the state championships again this year. They finished 14th out of 350 teams. So I'm going to ask Shadow Hills Athletic Director Mike Walsh to come on up here and help me with this presentation. So as I call your names, ladies, if you would come up and stand in front of the stanchions, and there'll be someone who will come up and take a photo. Following the presentation, if you'd return to your seats and stay there until the board has made comments, and then we'll go outside and take a couple pictures, okay? All right, so let's see. Let me put this down. I think it's probably better if I do it this way. We'll leave that there. Okay, Frida Arriaga. So in addition to this certificate from Desert Sands, we also have a pin for you to put on your lanyard, or on, you want to do it, Mike? Or on your jacket. And these are very special. We don't give very many of these out each year. And then Coach Walsh has another certificate for you. Do you want to comment on that, Mike?
Well, now to be outdone, and board and the cabinet, thank you for this recognition, but our girls were also recognized by the City of Indio mayor. So, not in the order that they would want.
Yeah, I put them alphabetically.
Well, I didn't sign off these. I'll talk to the mayor about them working on that. Sorry
Do you
about
want to
the
just call them up and then
Sure,
you can
actually,
do those? Or you got hers?
Frida,
Okay. there's
there you
Frida.
go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ruby Avila. There you go. And Coach Walsh is working on it. Kimberly Bourgeois. Did I do okay saying that? Yeah, that was okay. All right, here you go. Julia Fernandez. Congratulations, great job. Ariana Lupian. Is that how you say that? That's it, okay? Yeah. There you go. Jalen McDermott. I see a perfect place for this pin. Kimmy Mills. Sophia Ramirez. And you must be Miranda. Miranda Salcido. And I seem to have a few certificates left. And one is for assistant coach Luciana Lopez Cantu. I'll give this to Mike. Let's see. The next one must be the other assistant coach, Amanda Sanchez. And finally, to head coach Richie DeTamble. Happy New Year. Okay, wait a minute, you get a pin too. Absolutely, and there you go, coach. So, another round of applause for these amazing athletes. Everybody get all the pictures they want? I don't want to let them go until you do. Yeah, okay. Congratulations, ladies. Thank you very much.
Introduction of new or recently promoted employees. Dr. Hyde.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to introduce 3 new management members. And what I'd like each member to do is I call your name, if you could make your way up to the dais, please. First person I'd like to welcome is Ms. Susanna Akala, Assistant Principal at Jackson Elementary School. Susanna earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Spanish from California State University at Los Angeles and her Master of Arts degree in Education Administration from Concordia University in Irvine. Susanna joined Desert Sands with over 20 years of elementary, middle school, and district office experience. Most recently, she served as a family and community engagement coordinator in Los Angeles Unified School District. Susanna would like to thank her partner, Dr. Francis Esparza, her family and friends for their unwavering support, and the Jackson Elementary community for such a warm welcome. Welcome, Susanna.
Thank you.
Please introduce your guests and say a few words.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Education, dedicated staff, and families of Desert Sands Unified School District. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the families of Desert Sands Unified School District. I would first like to thank Dr. Morgan and the amazing staff in your HR department, and the amazing team at Jackson Elementary School. They have given me such a warm welcome, and on my 10th day on the job, I already feel like part of the family. The most gratitude to my partner, Francis, Dr. Esparza, who supports and inspires me daily. A huge thank you to my chosen parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hannon, and a shout out to the team at Belvedere Middle School, where I served as an assistant principal for the last 5 years, who helped me become the leader that stands before you today, with challenges and with great inspiration. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to the journey.
Next, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Montes de Oca, mental health therapist. Elizabeth earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice and her Master of Arts degree in Social Work from the California State University at Northridge. Prior to joining Desert Sands, Elizabeth worked as a social worker for the past 10 years. In her free time, Elizabeth enjoys painting and traveling with her family. She would like to acknowledge her husband and 2 children for their support. Elizabeth is very excited to be part of the Desert Sands Unified School District team. Elizabeth, welcome. Please introduce your guests and say a few words.
So my guests are my husband and my 2 kids who are watching from home. No, but I want to thank them for all their support. I want to thank the board members, the superintendent, the cabinet. I appreciate your guys' allowing me to be part of the Desert Sands Unified family. I'm very excited to be here and to help our students. My manager, today's my first day, and she has been so welcoming. I already feel part of the team, so thank you all very much.
Okay, next I'm proud to and excited to announce our new program specialist in special education, Mina Thakral. Mina earned her Bachelor's of Science degrees in Zoology and Education from Delhi University in India, her Master's degree in Special Education from Central Washington University. She has been a champion of special education for over 25 years and an Earhart Explorer for 20 of those years. Mina has a passion for traveling the world and immersing herself in other cultures. She has visited 35 countries so far. Mina says that her interpersonal skills have helped her strength in carving and navigating her own path against all odds. She cherishes her friends and family for their unconditional love. Mina, if you have a guest, please introduce them and say a few words.
First of all, I want to thank you, Cabinet, board members, colleagues, for giving me this opportunity to continue my journey in special education in a new role. When I was little, my grandpa one time took me to a pond, and he threw a pebble in the pond, and he said, look at these ripples. Whatever you do in life, make sure you cause those positive ripples and make difference in many lives. And as an educator, I have always strive to do that. And now in this role, I feel very empowered that now I can be a part of several of those ripples that are happening simultaneously as I get to work with more students, more families, more educators, and different programs at different sites. So thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And this will be a great journey, I know already. And thank you, my family here, and my assistant principal for Earhart, Michelle, and my sister, Julie, and Peter. They've been my rock support. Thank you.
Board and superintendent comments, Ms. Ragland.
I want to say congratulations to all of you and welcome to your new roles. Thank you.
Ann?
Yes, I just want to welcome everybody. Best wishes. I know you're all going to do tremendous in your new endeavors. And again, thank you for taking on the challenge for the students of our community. We're very appreciative of the commitment you've made to make Desert Sands still be the best district here in the Valley. Thank you so much.
Ms. Porras?
Hi, everybody. Sorry I can't be there, but I just wanted to welcome Kylie as our new student board member. Welcome, and hopefully I'll get to meet you at the next board meeting. Congratulations to all of the new positions for everyone. You guys sound like you're already part of the family, so congratulations and welcome to our Desert Sands family. And I just want to do a shout out to our Shadow Hills varsity girls. Knights do it right. And I need to say a special shout out to my niece, my great niece, Kimmy Mills. I'm not there, so I can't tell if my sister-in-law, Trish and Jerry are there, and Bruce, my nephew. But congratulations to all the girls on cross country. You guys are amazing. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and congratulations to Ms. Alcala for your position at Jackson. It's great to have people who come in with great experience, and we appreciate the passion you're going to bring in advocating for your school and for your students. That's the role of site admins, to advocate for everyone. Also want to recognize Ms. Montez, and we wish you the best of luck as you go through your journey, and we thank you for your willingness to come and be here, be part of our family, and support our stakeholders. And Ms. Throkal, well, thank you so much for the experience that you're bringing to us, and we look forward to all the support you can provide our students and our community. So thank you guys all for taking this challenge, and we really appreciate the support you'll be bringing to us. And definitely want to recognize our knights, our young ladies who are doing amazing things. As you can tell by their jackets, they're full of so many acknowledgments, but it's a testament to your determination, your perseverance, overcoming these obstacles. So congratulations, your accomplishment. We look forward to what you'll do, not only this coming year ahead, but in your college or professional career, wherever you go with it, but congratulations.
Pierce.
Yes, I'd like to welcome Kylie to the board and look forward to her serving. I am amazed at all the things she's involved in and the passion that she brings to the leadership roles that she's had throughout the years. Also, congratulations to the girls. I remember last year reading about you guys going to state and how fantastic you were, and to see all the DEL championships and CIF things you've done, as well as the state. I just want to say congratulations, and hopefully you'll continue that into college, maybe with some of your track teams, cross country. And also welcome to the new employees. I used to be a Jackson Dragon, so Susanna Akala. So that's a great school, great staff, a lot of long-term teachers there too that have been there. And welcome to Ms. Montez as well for your dedication to the social work background that you have and how that carries into what you'll be doing here as a mental health therapist. And also to Mina. I worked with Mina at Earhart, and I always admired the great special ed program she ran there, and also her compassion and caring for each student. It was just amazing. So it's good to see that get to spread, like she says, to more and more ripples, and to help inspire others. So welcome. Thank you.
I will echo everything they said. Welcome to our new employees. Congratulations, everybody. Welcome to Kylie. I like your name better than any of our other student board members. A little biased. Your mom spelled yours better than my mom spelled mine. Congratulations to our knights. And also, I just want to acknowledge that I appreciate seeing our administrators here coming to support our new employees and our employees that are being promoted. Dr. Mabelmer?
Yes, thank you. Well, I definitely will say the same, that I echo everyone's sentiments. It's always great to see our new employees and newly promoted employees. So congratulations to each and every one of you. Very, very excited for you and the work that you'll do on behalf of students, which really is the most important thing. So thank you in advance. And to our knights, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever seen that many Letterman jackets that have so many patches on them that you are layering them on top of each other to find room. I think that's incredibly impressive, and we're so proud of you, absolutely. I also want to just take a second, if I can. It was a very busy weekend for our Board of Education, a lot of different events. And I see Sue Ann in the audience. I wanted to say thank you to our health and wellness team. We had a bowling event on Friday night that was so fun. And we had so many employees show up from so many different school sites and different departments. And I want to publicly say that I respect so much the board and my efforts in throwing a few gutter balls on purpose.
I win.
So that we wouldn't win, because that would just, we wanted someone else to win. We're sacrificing for the team, yeah. Right? It was so nice of us to do that on purpose. But we also were able this weekend, Indio Rotary celebrated their 75th anniversary, and so it was wonderful to be able to be a part of that. We appreciate so much of the support that we get from the Rotaries across the desert. And then also very, very special, on Sunday, the Dr. Martin Luther King Commemoration Committee held their annual event at La Quinta High School, and so it was wonderful to be able to be a part of that. And then tonight was really, really special. We had dinner with the student board members and class presidents from all the high schools. And so that was really a special event. But I want to just, on behalf of myself and the board, say thank you so much to our ASB advisors for all that you do, because sitting at the table, hearing all the activities and all the upcoming events, and I know the students work so hard, but I know that all of our ASB advisors and activities directors across the district are right there with them, doing a lot of extra work behind the scenes as well. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
At this time, I'd like to give everyone the opportunity to go and celebrate with your family and friends, unless you would like to stay for the rest of the board meeting. Escape, escape.
Thank you. Great
Bye, girls.
Patience.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Nice.
It's so excited. It's already.
Oh yeah, that cleared the whole audience. Right. I don't think anyone is.
Okay, public comment on open session items. Communications from the floor. In accordance with bylaws of the board, number 9323, time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items, regular or special meetings, and or non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, regular meetings only, shall have a 3-minute limit. A total of 20 minutes will be reserved for public comment on each item. The board president, with concurrence of the board, may extend this time if deemed appropriate due to the number of citizens who wish to speak on an item. In accordance with the law, the board cannot take action on any matter not appearing on the agenda, as indicated by bylaws of the board number 9232.2. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on agenda, regular or special meeting, or non-agenda items. Regular meeting. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Please be advised that there is a possibility that some items discussed during public comment will not be developmentally appropriate for minors. We ask that parents use their discretion when choosing to remain in the boardroom during public comment. If you choose to leave the room, you may wait in the overflow location at the end of the hallway, and you will be notified when public comments have concluded. There are no online public comments today. Trina Gonzalez-Alisi.
Good evening, Cabinet and Board. I'm Trina Gonzalez-Alisi. I'm president of Desert Sands Teachers Association. And I know you've already discussed this in closed session, but coming up on the agenda, you'll be voting to approve the tentative agreement between the school district and the union. I'm pleased to announce that we had 3 general membership meetings that explained what was in the tentative agreement, and we concluded our voting at 4 in the afternoon last Thursday. We had a record-setting ballot count of 705. We usually have around half that for any given election, and it passed by 94%. So that shows that our membership is very happy. We appreciate the partnership that we have between the union and the association, the leadership of Dr. Hyde and his negotiations team, and the way that our 2 teams work together. We're very pleased with the outcome and look forward to continuing to work together. We know that we all have the same goal in common, which is what's best for our students and staff. And so I appreciate that being the focus and the where we prioritize our vision and our responsibilities to the staff that we have in Desert Sands. So a sincere thank you and an appreciation for how well the negotiations process works. Thank you.
Andrew Para.
See, the one person I'm taller than. Trina, thank you. No, thank you, board and cabinet. Good evening. I want to say thank you again for the bowling gutter balls that you allowed the rest of us that participated to outscore you. That was very generous of you, so thank you. I want to reiterate Trina's word. CSEA has came to an agreement with the district and Dr. Hyde and the team, the negotiations team, which you guys will be approving tonight, hopefully 5-0. It's a very good deal, we believe, for our classified unit and for the district. Obviously, we always say in negotiations, there's a back and forth, there's give and take, and I think both sides came out with some things that we agree on and some things that we gave up. So that's part of negotiations. We look forward to what the next and upcoming year is, and when Jordan presents the budget. It's going to be a fun and interesting year, but nothing that I don't think that the district and our classified unit can get past and actually come to an agreement to actually support our staff and our kids. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Information. One, Palm Desert High School baseball team participation in the Border Battle Tournament in Las Vegas, Nevada during January 26th to 28th, 2024. 2, Palm Desert High School's boys and girls wrestling team participation at California Interscholastic Federation State Championships in Bakersfield, California during February 21st to 24th, 2024. 3, Indio High School Future Farmers of America Club participation in the California Agricultural Education State Leadership Conference in Sacramento, California during March 20th to 24th, 2024. 4, disposal of surplus property report per resolution number 02/2023-2024. 5, quarterly report summary on Williams uniform complaints, October to December 2023. Staff conference items, Dr. Mabel Marr.
I'm going to turn the first one over to Mr. Aquino, and he'll be giving us an overview of the governor's budget.
As you know, the governor proposes his budget come January 10. And so there's a lot of details that are going to come out in that budget proposal, but I'm going to give you just a very high-level brief overview of some of the important topics that ultimately affect us. So the economic outlook for next year, the governor is projecting a $37.9 or $38 billion budget gap. The Legislative Analyst's Office predicted a $68 billion budget gap. Now, you would tell yourself, like, why is that so different? And ultimately, it's really not. And the reason why I say that is what the Legislative Analyst looks at with regard to the overall budget requirements from the state and the governor's office. The Prop 98 function of, sorry, I think I wasn't anticipating coming first, so I didn't really collect all my thoughts. So let me just restart. Okay, so ultimately the difference between the governor and the Legislative Analyst's Office is really $10 billion. So don't get caught up in the $38 billion versus the $68. They're really addressing the same issue with regard to the economic outlook. They're predicting a slow growth economy next year, and the state is using a myriad of tactics in order to address its state budget, drawing down reserves, funding reductions, borrowing and funding delays. And I could go over the litany of different things that they're ultimately utilizing to address the budget, which I won't, but ultimately a lot of them are one-time solutions. Now, one thing that's specific to us and one thing that we always look at with regard to our district's budget is the requirement ultimately to maintain a 10% reserve. That still is going to remain in place, and the statutory COLA. What is the statutory COLA this year? The statutory, or for next year, the statutory COLA is going to be 0.76%. So that is significantly low. There are 2 other times in California, at least from 1990, that the statutory COLA was lower than 0.76%. And one was in 16-17, and the other was in 2010. So really, ultimately, since 1990, the COLA hasn't really been that low before. So I'm just going to give you kind of an illustration as to the history of the COLA with respect to our budget. So in 17-18, we had a 1.56% COLA. Now, you've seen this chart in the first interim budget, but I've adjusted it in the 24-25 year to reflect the 0.76% COLA that ultimately the state is utilizing in their budget. And you can see over the course of the last couple of years how significantly smaller that is in comparison to the previous years. Now, what does that COLA mean to us in our multi-year projection? So when we come up with a COLA to utilize in our budget, we don't just arbitrarily come up with some number. We use the Department of Finance's projection. And when the state adopted their budget at the beginning of this current school year, they were utilizing a 3.94%. Now, there have been a lot of things that have happened since then. There was the delayment of filing of taxes. Unemployment I think was increased by 200,000 jobs across the state. So there's a number of things that have ultimately impacted the state's budget that our financing for next year is going to be a lot lower than we were anticipating. So we were utilizing a 3.94% COLA that represented $342 million to the district. The legislative analyst's office and what I was proposing to the board at that time, we were anticipating that the budget was going to come down with respect to the COLA in the out year, and the legislative analyst's office predicted a 1.27% COLA, and that to us would have been $333 million. But the Department of Finance came out with their budget on January, and it's looking like we're going to get a $331.9 million local control funding formula amount next year. So this is a comparison in the change in our ongoing revenues. So in 23-24, we had $346.7 million in local control funding. And next year, due to a combination of declining enrollment and the lower COLA, we will be projecting in our next budget a revenue of $331 million. Now, what does that mean? It means a reduction of $14.8 million that is ongoing. So from 24-25, that reduction in funding will continue outside of what we were originally projecting. That $3 million amount that you see there represents our obligation for step and column. So ultimately, all of our salary schedules inherently have built into them COLA increases, if you will, increases based on longevity. And that $704,000 amount represents an increase to pension costs. So overall, if we just look at from the most simplistic view of analyzing the budget, we have basically a need to cover $18.5 million that we weren't anticipating due to the change in our revenue situation. So that's it pretty much in a nutshell. I know tonight we have on your plate the approval of the agreements, the salary agreements. Now, we have large fund balances, and all of the considerations with respect to our potential COLAs were already factored into that. We know at a point we have to spend our excess reserves, and it's just going to require us to really keep track of our fund balance, making sure that we are staying on top of our budget in order for us to maintain a positive certification from here on out. And that's it. Thank you.
So how will this affect students directly learning, like in the classroom?
So basically the budget is just a representation of 85% of that is made up of staffing. So I would say if we were facing a significant budget undercut where we had to make program reductions, that ultimately will have a direct impact on the classroom in the form of the type of services that we provide to students. We don't see any impact initially based on our budget right now, but that doesn't mean that we aren't going to look at the type of programs that we're offering, the number of services that we have for certain activities. So it's a constant massage of our budget, but we don't see initially that there ultimately is going to be any changes to the amount of services that we're providing to students.
Okay, thank you. Can I add something to that? Just from the educational services perspective, because that's, it typically impacts students, right? The curriculum, staff. So what we would do if we were to have to cut programs is we constantly take our programs through an analysis. When we add a program, we anticipate a certain outcome for students, right? It'll increase reading scores, it'll increase math scores, things like that. So we're constantly monitoring those things to see if we're getting a return on the investment, basically. So those are the things that would be cut first, is those things that we're not seeing a return on because we're not getting what we thought we'd get out of them. So hopefully in that sense, the impact that you would feel would be negligible.
Good to know. Thank you.
Grant?
Yeah, I always hate when the budgets are a little bit smaller. There's always, I think, optimistically, that infamous soft landing thing. I mean, they said last year was going to be a bad year. It wasn't quite as bad. I mean, although the money had already been allocated as of like the May revise. So is there any vein of optimism out there that people are possibly thinking during the May revise and then, of course, the June approval of the budget that there might be more monies than initially is projected at this time?
I think the only thing that ultimately could impact the state budget in a positive manner would be the impact on capital gains with the stock. Now, reading the legislative analyst report, an overview of the governor's budget, they make mention on there that's a very complex topic, and ultimately that could potentially provide some reprieve to the state's budget. But one important note is that state revenues fell about 20%. Unemployment workers increased by 200,000. The governor's budget assumes quick return to growth, and they're projecting also an 8% increase in tax revenues this year. But what they also see is there is no clear signs yet that a rebound exists. Income tax withholdings have gone up about 2%, and sales taxes are down slightly. And corporate tax collections posted double-digit declines in December. So I think a lot of things are indicating that it isn't as, I think, rosy as it has in the past. I know that there's talk that a lot of the COLAs that we received in the last 2 years really were just front-loading, and now instead of having that spread over a number of years, we really received everything up front. So I don't know, I would hope, I think the one thing that could mitigate the impact to us from a district's perspective would be an increase in our enrollment. Now, historically also, we're looking at on average about a 2% decline per year. So there really isn't a lot of ways that the district can make up those revenues, like the state has an opportunity to do with a tax increase. The state is proposing a potential revenue solution which will garner them about $400 million in tax revenues by disallowing businesses to take prior year losses as a tax reprieve when they file their tax on the following year. So the state's looked at a couple things. It's going to go through the whole gamut of process with the legislature now. I can say also that the states, and I was really fumbling up trying to explain the $38 to $68 million. And I think really what it is this, the Legislative Analyst's Office just looks at a budget and said, hey, these are the rules, you have a $68 million deficit. The state recognized that a lot of the tax receipts and the taxes from the state are significantly down. And we are in what's called a test 1 year. And what that means is that Prop 98 K-12 education owns 40% of the state budget. And because those tax revenues are significantly lower than what they're originally estimating, they reduced education by $15 billion. So that's part of, if you add 38, you add another 15 billion to that, that's inching the way towards what the Legislative Analyst's Office believes is a $68 billion problem. So that's where the miscommunication is with regard to all the people who are receiving this information, is because the governor's budget is already projecting that, hey, you're not entitled to that $15 billion. We are going to reduce your Prop 98 funding by that amount, because in a test 1 year, you're only entitled to 40% of the budget, and 40% represents $15 billion less. Now, also the thing with that $15 billion, there's no outline in detail that says what that $15 billion is going to be. But there is a $9 billion amount that they have to impact in the 22-23 school year that they are saying in their budget that it won't impact the schools. And so I think we're going to have to really see the details as to what that means to us. And I do think that we exercise caution and be very vigilant about our budget practices and how we move forward with expenditures.
Any chance we'd have to hit our reserves? I think in the past they'd made exceptions for that.
Yeah, so the next year we are still required to maintain the 10% reserves. Now, mind you, the state is withdrawing $12 billion from what they call the budget stabilization account. That's half of the amount that's in there. So the state is also looking at utilizing their reserves. They haven't fully called a state of emergency that would give them the ability to pull all the reserves in those accounts, but they are coming up with solutions that ultimately would impact the 2025-26 year. And the reason why I say that is when you look at a lot of these one-time reprieves, you're not fundamentally addressing the core issue. Right. And the core issue at that point could be a reduction to real programs and real services that the schools already provide to all of the students. Kind of going back to your question, that there could be a year if we don't come out of what is being forecasted from an economic standpoint, there will be real cuts, and they could come in the form of who knows what.
Right. And just for probably the record, I mean, California leads the way in many areas. This is a national thing. Other states that I've read and heard of are also experiencing the same deficits. Would you concur that it's not just a California thing, just in case?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think the economy nationwide has seen an economic downturn or slowdown. It's just California is what I consider the 5th or 6th largest economy, and so everyone looks at California. Ultimately, what affects us affects everybody. So right. I mean, that's to answer your question. Ultimately, yeah, I mean, we're a large economic force overall, so we do have an impact, and it ripples.
Right. Thank you, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Porras, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say that thank you, Jordan, for your report, and I trust that you will definitely keep us on the right track. We're really, really blessed to have you on our team, so thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez.
No questions. Thank you, George. But it's a great opportunity to plug in the LCAP and getting feedback from our stakeholders as to what is important, what they do value, and encourage our not only our staff but our parents, students to participate and the opportunities presented at school or online or the presentations to give their feedback. So that's about it. Thank you.
Pierce?
Well, when I heard it come out, I was just happy it wasn't in the 60s, that it had gone down some, but I do realize that the deficit we'll be dealing with ongoing will take all of us to look at, where that will take place to least impact students. And I always thank you for your good explanation of these numbers and how to understand them better. So thanks for the report.
I definitely fumbled in the beginning.
Well, that was just
A little bit.
A lot.
I have nothing. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right, we have two more staff conference items this evening, and Dr. Wood will be introducing those.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to invite up to the podium our Coordinator of Assessment and Accountability, Lee Baird, who will be presenting on the California School Dashboard.
Thank you. Hello. Good evening, Board of Education, Cabinet. Tonight, I will be sharing our district performance data from the state indicators on the 2023 California School Dashboard. This is based on data from the 2022-2023 school year. The state indicators are measures of school and school district success for 13 student groups that help us identify successes and areas for improvement. The California School Dashboard is California's accountability system. The dashboard includes multiple measures for the 8 LCFF state priority areas that drive our local control accountability plan, or LCAP, to support our unduplicated students. The dashboard includes 2 types of performance indicators, local indicators and state indicators. The local indicators are shared with the Board of Education each June with the adoption of the LCAP and are reported publicly on the dashboard each year. State indicators include measures of 4 LCFF priority areas, including data gathered from state assessments, results and data reported in California's longitudinal pupil achievement and data system, known as CalPADS. Today's presentation will focus on the state indicators. The California Dashboard is an online tool available to the public in multiple languages. One can simply enter the name of a school or school district to view demographic and performance data. The performance data is shown as colors, with red being the lowest performance and blue being the highest performance. As one continues to scroll, they will see tiles that include demographic information, including our overall enrollment and the enrollment of the 3 student groups included in our unduplicated student percentage, our low-income students, English learners, and foster youth. When one clicks on the tiles, they can view more information. As one continues to scroll through the online tool, they will view the district performance overview that highlights the performance level colors for each state indicator and the status of the local indicators. Additionally, there are other reports that can be viewed, such as the 5x5 placement reports and more detailed tiles. When one clicks on a state indicator tile, they will be presented with a more detailed tile that includes additional information about the indicator, including the performance color, the current status and change from the prior year, and an equity report that shows how many student groups are in each performance color. This example, which happens to be the state performance, highlights the graduation rate for the state of California. Some of the additional reports available are the 5x5 placement reports. Each indicator has unique placement reports with varying color arrangements and cut points for the status and change. A district, school, or student group is placed on the 5x5 using the current year status on the y-axis and the change from the prior year on the x-axis. The intersecting color is the performance level. Now let's look at our state indicators, starting with the academic indicators for English language arts and mathematics. The academic indicators are calculated by student achievement on the 2023 Smarter Balanced and California Alternate Assessments in English Language Arts and Mathematics. These assessments are based on the California State Standards for English Language Arts and Literacy and Mathematics. They include results from students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11. The academic indicators measure how many scale score points each student is from meeting standard to create a distance from standard, or DFS. Every student's DFS is averaged to calculate an overall DFS for each student group. Acronym soup. Let's look at an example. This slide shows 6 students with an individual DFS. Positive numbers represent the number of scale score points a student scored above standard, and a negative number represents the number of scale score points the student scored below standard. We simply add the numbers and divide by the number of students. In this case, you can see a wide range of DFS results added up and then divided by 6 students, earning an overall distance from standard of 5 for this particular student group. The ELA distance from standard for Desert Sands is 38.5 DFS points below standard, maintaining an orange performance color. As a comparison, students across the state scored 13.6 points below standard, also maintaining an orange performance color. This 5x5 shows the English Language Arts placement for Desert Sands and all our student groups. A student group must have at least 30 students to be included on the placement report, which is why you do not see a placement for our Pacific Islander and American Indian student groups. Many of our student groups are scoring above standard as an average, which is to be celebrated. However, several student groups have a very low status, including our English learners, foster youth, homeless youth, African American students, and students with disabilities. This graph shows English Language Arts performance ordered by DFS across all Riverside County Unified School Districts. Desert Sands ranks 7th, an improvement since last year. Note that the performance level color for each district is represented on the bars in the graph. The math distance from standard for Desert Sands is 78.8 points below standard, maintaining an orange performance level color. As a comparison, students across the state scored 49.1 points below standard, also maintaining an orange performance level. This 5x5 shows the math placement for Desert Sands and all of our student groups. A few of our student groups, again, are scoring above standard as an average, which is a highlight. However, 5 student groups are in the red, including our English learners, foster youth, homeless youth, African American students, and students with disabilities. Desert Sands ranks 7th in mathematics within the Unified School Districts in Riverside County. The next state indicator, the English Learner Progress Indicator, is another measure of LCFF Priority Area 4. This indicator is unique as it only includes our English learner students. The LP is calculated by growth in individual student achievement from the 2022 to 2023 English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, known as the LPAC, based on the California English Language Development Standards. A student is making progress towards English language proficiency when they move up 1 or more LP levels from one year to the next or remain at the highest level. 48.5% of Desert Sands English learners showed growth or remained in the highest level, very similar to the state growth of 48.7%. Desert Sands maintains our yellow performance level, and Desert Sands' LP rate ranks 9th in the county amongst unified school districts. The College Career Indicator is defined by students graduating in 4 or 5 years, meeting one or more of multiple college and career measures. This year, only a status is reported for the CCI. This is due to the flexibility with testing in 2022 for the 2023 graduates. 44.8% of our students are considered prepared for college, having met at least one measure. In comparison, 43.9% of students are prepared at the state level. Desert Sands ranks 6th amongst unified school districts in Riverside County. Our next set of indicators for student engagement are aligned with Priority Area 5 and include graduation rate for high school and chronic absenteeism for K-8 schools. Graduation rate is defined as the percentage of students earning a regular high school diploma in 4 or 5 years. Students that earn a certificate of completion, adult education diploma, GED, or pass an equivalency exam are not considered graduates, even at our continuation schools, where they previously did count as graduates. Desert Sands has a high graduation rate of 93.8 and a green performance level color. California students are graduating at a rate of 86.4% with an orange performance level color. All of our student groups are doing well, with none being in the low or very low status. Desert Sands ranks 5th amongst Riverside County Unified School Districts. The next state indicator on the California School Dashboard is the chronic absentee rate, a measure of Priority Area 5. A student is a chronic absentee if they miss, for any reason, 10% or more of their instructional days. That is only 18 days of a 180-day school year calendar. Although there has been significant declines in chronic absentee rates, we continue to see a trend of high rates across the state due to regulations that encourage students to stay home if they feel ill. 34.8% of Desert Sands students were chronically absent in 2022-23, and 24.3% across the state. All student groups, with the exception of our Asian students, continue to have a very high absentee rate of 20.1% or more. What is notable is that most of our student groups' chronic absentee rate declined significantly compared to the previous year. Desert Sands ranks 13th in chronic absenteeism. School climate is aligned with Priority Area 6 and the suspension rate indicator. The last state indicator on the California School Dashboard, the suspension rate, is defined by the percentage of TK through grade 12 students that have one or more suspensions equaling or greater than 1 day. 4.5% of Desert Sands students were suspended in 2022-2023, while 3.5% of California students were suspended. This 5x5 shows that our African American students, homeless youth, English learners, low-income students, and students with disabilities, as well as our Hispanic students, are being suspended at higher rates than other student groups. Desert Sands suspension ranks 10th in the county. Results from the California School Dashboard are used to determine a school district's eligibility for differentiated assistance, part of California's system of support as required by ESSA. A district is eligible if one or more student groups met 2 of the criteria listed, as specific actions must be taken in our LCAP to address the needs. Desert Sands qualifies for differentiated assistance because 3 student groups met the criteria. The identified groups and indicators in need of improvement are African American students for academics and suspension, foster youth for academics and suspension, and homeless youth for academics, suspension, and chronic absenteeism. Senate Bill 114 changes the California School Dashboard reporting timeline over the next 3 years to make the data available earlier to better assist schools and districts to take timely action. In 2024, the dashboard will be released 2 weeks earlier on December 1st, with the goal of having it released by October 15th by 2026. Thank you for your attention as we shared the state indicators on the California School Dashboard. I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions at this time.
No, I want to thank you for your report. A lot to digest there. I always find it interesting how, like, if we're sixth or something, like we're sixth in almost everything, or seventh, or one or two above. It's not like we have these, meteor moments, like where we flash one place or the other. But so it does show consistency, I think, and that's a good thing, nonetheless, overall. But there are some areas that always, tend some questions. I think absenteeism, we were talking, right? I think is, I encourage her to tell her friends come to school at least. But it always just, it reminds me that, you start 30 years ago, you go in a room to tell you what are the 3 things wrong with schools, right? And it's attendance, right? Whatever, pick your other 2. It's probably the same. And attendance just, as community, if you're listening out there, it just boggles the mind. Because if you're not, what's the saying in work, being there is half the job. Mm-hmm. And if you can come, other good things do happen. So I commend you all on the report. I commend the efforts of all the departments that put all the time and effort into this report. And the only thing I would just say is that, and it's not just us today, it's all of the nation, let's get to school, kids. Let's get to school. It's a place that great things happen, but you got to give us that chance. Thank you, Leah, for your time.
Ms. Porras, do you have anything?
I have no questions. Thank you so much.
Mr. Alvarez.
Thank you for the presentation. I would like to have seen the placement of the schools in the 5x5 grid. I mean, that's what we're interested in seeing. I want to see how we're doing, and then see what the needs are. Also acknowledge who is doing great, and give those kudos out to the schools who put something together for our students. It's a team effort. There's leadership, there's those in the trenches seeing our students every day, our classified supporting, but it's just good to acknowledge those who are, but also make sure that the schools who can benefit from support know that we have support available to them, and that's something that I would like to see. Where are we on the 5x5 grid by school sites? So
Thank you. We will provide you with that data.
Yes, thank you for the report. I did notice, still a statistic that's been long-term is students of color with the higher suspension rate, and hopefully with more mental health therapists and more of the philosophy going towards restorative justice type of behavior modification for some of these kids, we could change those numbers for that population. But also the absenteeism, I think part of it's related to COVID and the mindset that was staying home for this or that, and it just is taking time to get kids back into it and valuing that being here really does make a difference, and every little bit you miss affects what you learn. But there's a lot of information here. I too would be interested in seeing within our own district how the schools did and what we can learn from each other within schools on different programs that may be helping in certain areas. Thank you.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Baird. Appreciate that, you and all your work and your team. Our next presentation will be our multilingual learner programs update. Dr. Angela Randolph, our Director of State and Federal Programs, will be presenting along with Dr. David Gustafson, our Senior Director of Secondary. Unfortunately, Ms. Valador, our multilingual coordinator, is ill today, so they'll be picking up her spot on that.
All right, good evening. Board of Trustees, Superintendent Volmar, and Cabinet members. Dr. Gustafson and I are happy to be here tonight to present updates regarding our multilingual learner programs. Our master plan, our multilingual learner master plan, guides the development, implementation, the monitoring, and the ultimate evaluation of our programs. And as we enhance our programs, we seek to create a coherent and equitable research-based programs. And that's outlined in our goals in our master plan. Last year, we presented an overview of the Multilingual Learner Master Plan, and we presented it through the lens of the chapters. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to present updates related to each of the chapters and all the accomplishments throughout the various chapters and the content delivered through each chapter. First of all, just to situate the master plan, our master plan is aligned to the California English Learner Roadmap policy, and so the vision and the mission that is on the left-hand side up there is our vision and mission as it relates to our program. When we go through the chapters here, on the left-hand side, you'll see the key content in each of the chapters, and on the right, I'll list and speak to the accomplishments. So as we look at the identification, or in the chapter, responding to diverse learners, we look at the identification, placement, and reclassification of our English learners. And as Ms. Baird just recently told us about the various assessment data, she spoke about the LPAC, that it measures the progress of the English language development standards, and we see the results on the English language progress indicator on the dashboard. We have had LPAC awareness sessions, but what's new is our extensive LPAC awareness to our parents. We have had 5 parent LPAC sessions where we dig deep into what the LPAC is, what are the task types, parents go through the actual practice tests, so they have a very clear understanding of what it entails so that they can assist their children or at least encourage them with the test. Also, with our English language development teacher coach positions, which I'll speak more toward in a minute, those are new positions and they are definitely involved with the LPAC awareness. The LPAC at the site level, there are data chats which are essential with the teachers and the students, and kickoff assemblies which are happening right now to encourage students to do the best they can on the LPAC, which begins on February 1st and ends in May. We have the district-wide reclassification celebration. Our first one was last year, and we look forward to another wonderful event with that this year. Elevation is our online English learner platform, which encompasses all of our data for our monitoring systems. So for the identification of our students, the LPAC test results, for our reassessment and looking at progress monitoring of our students, we're able to look into the Elevation platform, gather all the data, and also determine students who are ready for reclassification. So that has been an extensive new development over the last few years. And one of the wonderful things is this year, we added the academic support plan. So that's right now the last workflow to this point that we're adding so that all of our systems are on Elevation, that we can complete those systems on Elevation. Reclassification with disabilities is one of our strong suits. We are really working toward ensuring that there's equity for our students with disabilities. That is an area with reclassifying our students, especially if they're severe, moderate to severe, that we have to work one-on-one with our students or with the reclassification process to determine if they're eligible for reclassification when they take the alternate assessment, and they have alternate ways to reclassify. So that's an area we continue to work on and ensure that we're providing equity. Chapter 3, this has to do with our language program options. Every student in the state of California by default is in a structured English immersion program unless they're in an alternative language program such as the dual language immersion program that we have at Reagan and Jackson elementary schools. We will be presenting an extensive update on the DLI program in April, but just as a reminder, we are up to grade 4. this year, and we will be completing the elementary cycle next year with up to grade 5. And we are doing continuous professional learning with the CABE, California Association for Bilingual Education, with modeling lessons and coaching cycles, as well as parent outreach. The state seal of biliteracy is also really an important topic within this chapter. The new development here is a new state seal of biliteracy task team. Our Director of College and Career Readiness is now on that team. Our Counselor in Special Assignment is on that team. Our Coordinator of Assessment and Accountability, along with the State and Federal Projects Facilitator, who spearheads the entire process. It's to bring in multiple voices, lenses for that process will ensure equity, that all students who are eligible are aware of that process, as well as finish it so that they receive the state seal of biliteracy on their diploma. And as part of that process, at a lower level, we are continuing to work on the criteria for the Pathway Awards for the younger students who are learning another language. Chapter 4, comprehensive ELD. In a comprehensive ELD program, which we are all required to have, includes designated and integrated ELD. So up here on the right-hand side, it speaks to what kind of supports we have for designated ELD. Teacher support is provided by our project facilitators and our English language development teacher coaches, the new position that I referred to. At the elementary level, also, we've had extensive benchmark advanced ELD training. So all teachers, K-5 teachers will receive a full day and 2 half days, but a full day with the benchmark advanced curriculum. And that entails then our state and federal projects facilitators doing 36 half-day professional development sessions. So we've greatly enhanced that aspect. Middle school also, extensive program, and the high school teachers are beginning to come to these sessions on Study Sync and Explore and Avid Excel. So we have 6 days implementation days. So that's growing in popularity, which is awesome for our middle and high school teachers. Then I just want to highlight the 10 additional intervention teacher/coach positions at the elementary level. That has been such a wonderful addition to our ELD program. That role has done so much in the short amount of time that we have had them. It is phenomenal. Shout out to all that position. Shout out to the principals for their support. Shout out to our instructional coaches and our project facilitators for bringing them into the fold, because this role at the K-5 level is helping to assist with SAST, anything to do with ELD related with the SAST. They attend instructional coaches meetings. They've been involved with empathy interviews and shadowing students, those shadowing to get a better feel, part of a needs assessment, what's going on with their English learners. They're involved with initial and summative LPAC testing. They assist with ELD grouping and determining with all their data analysis where should ELD students be placed. They attend PLC meetings. They attend grade level meetings. They're doing wonderful newsletters. They are really just an amazing new addition, and I want to thank the board because that's going to move the needle for sure in our district. Also with English language development for training purposes, we have provided for ELs with disabilities 2 elementary and 2 secondary sessions for teachers. Benchmark advanced training for K-5. We also had a dinner series for best practices for designing designated ELD. And this past summer, we had benchmark advanced overview training for our K-5 principals. Another new development is our concerted effort to enhance our newcomer support. So the support has entailed the secondary Study Sync newcomer curriculum, enhancing the understanding. We have an upcoming benchmark advance, the newcomer curriculum for that curriculum at K-5. We've offered after-school academies, and we last summer offered the Newcomer Summer Language Academy for newcomers, which we will offer again this year. Access to the core, like I said, there's comprehensive ELD is designated ELD, which I spoke to, now integrated ELD. We have had certificated educator orientation for new teachers. Our ELD ITCs, that English Language Development Teacher Coach position, they model lessons for teachers. That's at the site, and they provide ongoing support. Their entire purpose is to provide support to the regular classroom teacher for ELD instruction. We also have had Tier 1 ELA professional development at the secondary level, where our state and federal programs project facilitators collaborate with our ELA project facilitator. Chapter 6 is progress monitoring. Our language appraisal teams, which are required at every site, monitor the progress of our English learners and our reclassified fluent English proficient students. We have an academic support plan. I referred to that that's our newest development, our newest workflow on elevation. So capturing iReady, CASP, LPAC, analyzing student progress individually, and in trying to determine what interventions are needed for each student. That process assists with that, along with the school site Tier 1 and Tier 2 leadership team, digging into the English learner data. Administrators across our district also attended training for a multi-tiered system of support, which entailed looking deeper at our English learner data.
All right, thank you, Dr. Randolph. I have the pleasure of presenting some great findings as a result of the work that we've done this year, driven mostly by the A through G Completion Improvement Grant, which we talked to the board about last year. You'll recall that the A through G Completion Improvement Grant ensures that all students have access to rigorous A through G courses, provides opportunities for students to retake and validate those classes that are A through G, and then specifically monitor our English learners' progress towards becoming A through G eligible. Now you'll remember that being A through G means that students are meeting the minimum admission requirements for Cal State and UC schools through completing specific college preparatory coursework with a grade of C or better. This year's presentation is going to look at how those supports that we talked about last year worked out. So we're going to specifically focus in on 3 different areas on progress monitoring. The first being our District Counselor on Special Assignment, or our COSA, the 4 A through G bilingual paraeducators that we have in Desert Sands, and other activities and supports. So as we think about our Counselor on Special Assignment, how fortunate we are to have this individual as part of our team. So far, our COSA has delivered guidance lessons both at middle school and high schools, designated ELD classes. He's also assisted sites with progress monitoring our A through G and our grades for our EL students specifically. Now, really key to all of this is his involvement with monitoring and supporting the efforts of our CaliforniaColleges.edu program. This is a place where students discover interests, their values, and even set goals, start talking about the future. They find out about careers, explore colleges or specific training that they can do after high school. In addition, they learn how to find money and pay for college. That's an important thing. And also launch their college and financial aid applications through CaliforniaColleges.edu. That is a program that is not only recognized here locally in Desert Sands, but also at the county and the state level. And it does much, much more. Our bilingual paraeducators, boy, I have to give a shout out to this very special group that monitor the progress of our English learners in the trenches each and every day. They provide support for our English learners in classrooms. They also act as a liaison between school and home. They also are tasked with monitoring the grades and the A through G progress for our students. And most importantly, they act as a source of support and encouragement for our English learners. And then they also collaborate with our families, their counselors, teachers, and administrators. They're an important role on each of our 4 traditional high school campuses as students work towards being A through G compliant. And then also, they do this through a relentless focus on closing the opportunity gap. All right, additional activities that are used to monitor and support our English learners and our secondary students specifically. We've done 5 additional days for counselors in June for further case management, really digging into their caseloads, and also planning for the upcoming school year with developing a master schedule that provides opportunities and access for all students. We also have specialized professional development for our counselors, and we've offered parent and family nights, including FAFSA nights at all 4 of our traditional high schools. Now here's where the rubber meets the road. So when you combine all of this incredible work of our certificated, our classified, and our leadership staff at our school sites, these are the supports, right, that have led to some very, very exciting results. We're very proud of them, and we're looking forward to sharing with the board right now. So we look at the class of 2022 in our English learners. 17.1% of our English learners met the A through G requirements. For the class of 2023, we saw that number rise to 29.8%. With our students with disabilities, the class of 2022 had a 15.5% of graduates meeting the A through G requirements. That number jumped to 18.5%. We're very excited about our foster youth. They also experienced some tremendous growth. The class of 2022 saw 15% of our foster youth meeting A through G requirements. The class of 2023 rose to 28%. Our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, the class of 2022, 45.1%. Now that jumped to 50.9% for the class of 2023, leading to an overall Desert Sands graduates meeting A through G requirements from the class of 2022 at 51.3%, rising to 54.7% for the class of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Gustafson. Chapter 7 speaks to program evaluation and accountability. So evaluation focus areas for us include the English Learner Program implementation, looking at staffing in our professional learning, what we heard earlier about student performance, English language development, also student performance, academic achievement, student engagement, course enrollment, college and career readiness, academic supports, and family and parent participation. Monitoring systems, I've spoke to elevation, and we have data warehouse. These systems enable us to dive real deeply into student progress, classroom level implementation, school and district implementation, as well as family communication and engagement monitoring. Staffing and professional learning, as I spoke about the ELD, the English Language Development Intervention Teacher Coach position, they have had, or will have had by the end of the year, 10 days of professional development at the county and extensive other opportunities for professional development throughout the year. The designated ELD teachers themselves are supported by our project facilitators at the district level. And then on top of that, we have our multilingual learner lead meetings, which is a representative from each school site that comes monthly to get updates on what is happening within the English Learner Program. Chapter 9, Family School Partnerships. We have PK, a strong PK program, as we have in the past. This year, Indio High School, Shadow Hills, La Quinta Middle School, Page, Jefferson, and Kennedy are involved with this program. We've had over 20 parent workshops. Erica Alfaro, our award-winning author, has presented. David Ramos is a family engagement specialist. And Nancy Velador herself has presented a 5-part LPAC awareness series to parents. In addition, Kevin Bebo, our College and Career Director of College and Career Readiness, along with our COSA, Raphael, they have presented information related to Portrait of a Graduate to the parents. And we've also had, or will have, a project facilitator for AVID will be presenting recursive routines, which are in EL strategies, for parents to have a better understanding of what the students are learning, what kind of strategies they have are used in the classroom. Also, we continue, of course, to have our ELAC at the site level, DLAC at the district level, and Footsteps to Brilliance, a bilingual early literacy program. Finally, si hablas a un hombre en una lengua que entiende, se le llega a la cabeza. Si le hablas en su propia lengua, eso le llega al corazón. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. I'd like to give special thanks to all the staff who have made a concerted effort in our district to serve our English learners. There has been great efforts, and I'm just so proud of everyone that has been doing all of this work. So this concludes our presentation, pending any questions you may have.
No questions at this time. Thank you for that amazing presentation.
Well, I want to just say what an incredible amount of work went into that. But the first thing that I just want to say was exactly what Dr. Gustafson had highlighted there was the numbers that had actually gone up. I like that. That's obviously what I'm saying. That's a credit to everybody that works in and around that system, and our students too. So thank you so much for all of that. Obviously too, Dale Carnegie used to say the sweetest sound to any person is their name. And if you can say it in their language, it's probably even better. So my name was counselor when I saw what was happening there. I'm tremendously supportive and proud of that outreach and that extra push in that area. And I just always want to let people know that the work that everyone does is so intricate and important at the same time to the development of the learning of our students. And so that, to me, when counselors get involved and get the support and help that they need to do their job to the best of their ability, I think that just is a fulcrum that propels everybody forward at a fantastic rate. So thank you. Kudos to all that have worked at that. Kudos to the teachers and the staff and all the A through G people that had their fingerprints on that plan. I'm deeply, deeply appreciative to the fine work you all are doing. Thank you so much.
Ms. Porras, do you have anything?
I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for the report.
Mr. Alvarez?
Thank you for the presentation. A question was the A through G pairs, they're at the high schools, the 4 high schools? Is that what it was? Got it. And I do appreciate the fact that you give prior year data as a comparison. I mean, that's when data means something, when you have it compared to something. If it's just numbers, it's hard to tie. So are we good or bad? But really appreciate the fact that you included last year and gave us a comparison. And appreciate the success that they're having, and it's great to reflect on it and say, we've had these gains, how can we continue to do better, or what is still needed? But just thank you for having that comparison. BICE, for some reason, stands out to me. Wasn't there another letter in that acronym? But
Which one?
BICE?
Oh, PICE, yeah.
So
P-I, you mean how it's spelled?
Yeah.
No, P-I-Q-E. Parent Institute Quality Education. Is that what you're thinking? There's a different letter in there?
For some reason, I just seen it a lot, and it's one of the presentations we've gone to, and something was standing out. So I'm not going to say either way. I just, for some reason, I just wanted to share that out there. Like, is there something else there? But what are 2 of the successes you'd like to note of our English learner program? Highlight something. What stands out in your mind?
One of the things that I have been seeing at the site level, well, one, we've been doing, Nancy Velador has been doing walkthroughs with the English Language Development ITCs. I mean, the ITCs, we call them. And I think that collaboration with the instructional coaches, the ELD ITC, and the principal, I think those site visits. I think another thing I didn't mention, I forgot to mention, is the reflection piece. So one thing that we started 5 years ago was the English Learner Roadmap Self-Reflection rubric. Principals 5 years ago looked at the principles of the English Learner Roadmap and looked at each element, and they rated themselves, the whole team did. We are doing that again at the elementary level, and we will do it next year at the secondary level. The reason we're not doing it all at the same time is because we're also looking at special ed, and we don't want to overload the sites. So I think it's the reflection piece, looking at what each school needs and us supporting them. And I think the other thing is highlighting the students, and what I see is an attention to the various typologies. For example, with more emphasis on newcomers, then more attention and the specific instruction needed for that group of students, as opposed to a long-term English learner who just needs more of a, depending on where they're at, but sometimes just needs a nudge to move over into reclassification. So it's that the deeper analysis of the data, the conversations regarding each of the learners, and then what is needed to move the needle for that student. And then all of us having that conversation, including the parents.
And you bring up some points that really stand out in my mind. I really appreciate just the effort, collective effort, district-wide, towards our English learners and supporting them. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's had a piece in that. You know, it is evident that there is more of a focus in supporting our English learners and the success we can have with the proper supports. So it takes a lot of work, right? A lot of dedication that goes into that. But I did want to note that, you know, it is more evident that there's a lot more supports going towards that, and we really it is evident and noted. Also wanted to just mention the fact that expanding our dual language program, as you know, as the state has its plan for us to be more bilingual, you know, let's not lose sight of the fact that we still have schools who desire to expand that program. You know, I've had a couple of parents come up to me and mention, hey, we would like to have that program here. But as we work towards that, let's not lose sight that that's an opportunity that we have to really promote bilingualism in our community. But overall, just thank you guys for your efforts. And we're definitely moving in the right direction with your supports.
Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to also thank you for the report and also showing us the comparative data to see that improvement. I am glad to see that we do have the EL coaches now. Having been a person that had been around to a number of sites during my teaching career and also talking to friends and other teachers, the different way EL was handled at different sites was concerning. And sometimes not quite as consistent at it as it needed to be. So I think our real concerted effort in doing that, and hopefully the elementary teachers are embracing the coaches coming in to model the lesson. Hey, sit back there, I'm gonna do a couple lessons, I'm gonna do the lessons for you. And is that something that is being expected of each class, to let the coach come in and actually take place coaching?
Yeah, initially we don't want to, we want them to feel comfortable with it. So typically you go where you're invited first, and then based on the needs of those teachers, administration can work with the coaches to help figure out where would be a good place for them to go next. But I mean, I think it's based on the need overall. I mean, they all get professional development at the site anyway.
Yeah.
So like some of that modeling that can go through the SAST approach, or it could be at the staff meetings. So it doesn't all have to be through in the classroom directly. But
I wish it would be more open-minded, because I just think, you know, many times a teacher in the classroom would say, hey, I just want a day to go out and watch other people do something.
Yep.
And the same idea flipped is like, I want to sit back and see how my kids respond and how somebody else's different method just might be a good way to do something.
And we have those conversations, and we've identified key teachers. So that is a next step.
Hopefully that will spread.
Yes. So even if they don't go into model for that teacher, those teachers can go to other classrooms eventually. So,
I was wondering too, the A to G percentage that achieved the A to G requirements was about 54%. Okay, so say, if I'm understanding that right, because I'm not a high school person, so 46% of them don't complete their A to G requirements to be able to go directly into a 2 or 4 year college.
So that's for admission for UC and CSU.
Okay, so many of them, if they want to go to COD or somewhere else, they can continue to get their required things as they go, and they're steered in that direction, or to a trade school or career. I love that it sounds like the counselor on special assignment and the other ones are talking to them about careers, and I wish my grandson would get one of these, like, one of those tests you take that say, like, what are you interested in, and kind of how aptitude type tests to say, like, some of the kids, they don't know where to even experiment with, but I love that you're giving them more guidance in that. But it is good to see that our overall graduation rate is up to 96%. So that was encouraging. But thank you. EL has always been, being a bilingual teacher myself, I always noted the importance of this part of it, even for the low ELs, the low EOs, forgetting my letters here. Anyway, so thank you for that.
Okay, that's a tough one to follow. I like them, appreciate the positive change in the numbers. But one thing I just want to say is I appreciate the emphasis on the parent involvement. I think it's an important piece of the puzzle to ensure that our students are going to be successful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing. There are none. General functions, business services. There are 4 items in general functions, business services, with number 1 being a resolution, which requires a roll call vote. Is there a motion to take items 2 through 4 as a group or individually?
So moved to take them as a group.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. Preferential vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. 17.1, resolution number 15/2023-2024 of the Board of Education regarding accounting of developer fees for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 pursuant to Government Code Sections 6601D and 66006B. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 15/2023-2024?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. This is a roll call vote. Preferential vote, Ms. Ragland.
Aye.
Mr. Duran.
Aye.
Ms. Porras.
Aye.
Mr. Alvarez.
Aye.
Ms. Pierce.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. General functions educational services. There's 1 item for general functions educational services. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Trish?
Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. Preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. General functions personnel services. There are 12 items in general functions personnel services. Since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to take items 1 through 12 as a group or individually?
I move we take them as a group, items 1 through 12.
Is there a second?
Second. Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. General function student support services, there are none. General function superintendent. There are 2 items in general function superintendent. Since these items pertain to employee-employer relations, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Motion to take them as a group.
Is there a second?
Second. Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries 5-0. Consent item student matters. Dr. May Volmar.
Yes, thank you. Tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve the following student matters. Reinstatement student case number 22/23-70 on a motion made by trustee Duran, seconded by trustee Alvarez. The motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the recommendation of reinstatement. Reinstatement student case number 22/23-86 on a motion made by trustee Alvarez, seconded by trustee Pierce. The motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the recommendation of reinstatement. Reinstatement student case number 22/23-92 on a motion made by trustee Pierce, seconded by trustee Porras. Motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the recommendation of reinstatement. Stipulated expulsion case number 23/24-10 on a motion made by trustee Pierce, seconded by trustee Duran. The motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the recommendation of the stipulated expulsion order. Expulsion case number 23/24-11 on a motion made by trustee Duran, seconded by trustee Pierce. The motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the recommendation from the hearing panel.
In consent items, business services. There are 10 items in general functions, business services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Make a motion to take them as a group. Pierce.
Second.
Second, Alvarez.
Any discussion? I would like to just say I'm happy to see number 2, that we are partnering with Fine Food Bank. I hear a lot from the sites, the wasted food, and I think that it's a good thing that we're finally going to give that to somebody that actually will eat it. Preferential vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, educational services. There are 17 items in general functions, educational services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
So moved.
Is there,
As a group.
is there a second?
Second.
Preferential vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, personnel services. There are none. Consent items, student support services. There are 2 consent items in student support services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Motion to take them as a group.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 preferential vote. Consent items, superintendent, there are none. Personnel actions certificated. Dr. Hyde, do we have any retirements?
Yes, Dr. Watson and board, I'm excited to announce that we actually have 2 retirements to announce in our certificated agenda. Pamela Ballard is retiring after 30 years at Washington Charter Elementary School. And Eloy Garcia is retiring after 23 years of service at Hoover Elementary School. Both of these employees have a combined 53 years of service to the Desert Sands Unified School District. So let's give them kudos, please.
It's not working. Since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. There are 2 consent items in personnel actions certificated. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Let's take them individually. Make a motion. Take one.
So moved.
Uh, 28.1. That's what you wanted first, Mike? Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, I just wanted to congratulate those folks for, their time, and 53 years is a lot of experience. And, I know Dr. Hyde is going to replace them with famous, fabulous people. But nonetheless, that doesn't diminish anything. It's just the kudos to them, and I'm jealous, but congratulations. Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. 28.2, is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No, again, just congratulations on making that deal. I think that's what that is, right? Correct? No, that's the salary, isn't it? Yes, for them. That's what I recalled when I read. Okay. I like the negotiations went smoothly. Thank you. And congratulations to all of you, and look forward to a new year. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Personnel actions classified. Dr. Hyde, do we have any retirements?
Yes, we do. We actually have 3 retirements in our classified agenda. 3 employees. I'll start with Marlene Aceves, who is retiring after 24 years of service to the district. She's currently a budget technician, so kudos to her. Our second individual, Maria Garcia, who works as a paraeducator in special education at Ford Elementary School. She is retiring after 11 years of service. And then last but certainly not least, Juan Veramontes, who is working as a metal fabricator in our maintenance and operations division, retiring after 37 years of service to the district. So combined, these employees have provided 72 years of service to the district. So let's give them a round of applause, please.
So since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. There are 2 consent items in personnel actions classified. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Take them as a group, Pierce.
Is there a second?
Second, Torres.
Thank you, Linda.
Any discussion?
I just would like to say congratulations to Marlene Aceves. She's a good friend of mine, and this is just really, I'm sure she's looking forward to retirement, and I just wish her all the best. Now she can retire with Robert. So, and just want to say to all the retirees, congratulations on making it to the finish line, and enjoy your journey going forward.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries 5-0. Call out of closed session items. Dr. May Volmar.
Yes, tonight in closed session, listed under item 3.2, the board took action to approve General Release and Settlement Agreement SSS number 09/2023-2024. On a motion made by Trustee Duran and seconded by Trustee Alvarez, the motion carried 5-0. On agenda item number 3.3, request to postpone a hearing in student case number 23/24-01. On a motion made by Trustee Alvarez and seconded by Trustee Duran, the motion carried 5-0 with the board accepting the request to postpone. On agenda item 3.4, settlement claim number 23-L-05, on a motion made by Trustee Porras, seconded by Trustee Pierce, the board voted 0-5 to reject the settlement claim number 23-L-05. That's it.
Suggestions for future agenda items that receive at least 3 votes. Ms. Ragland?
I would like to suggest further involvement with our math programs and ensuring that students are receiving the full extent of their education in the math department. And also the construction around Shadow Hills High School that causes traffic issues in the morning and perhaps affects students getting to school on time.
I would just like to maybe piggyback on that. Is there a completion date? Do we know anything? I think that's a question students ask a lot.
Because it is city construction, it's not district construction.
Right.
So yeah. Do you have a completion date? We can find out. I don't know right now the estimated completion date.
Yeah, or just more information for the students or parents, because I know a lot of people are late due to that, and affects their education.
You got it. Great suggestion.
Mr. Duran?
No, I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Ms. Porras?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez? Ms. Pierce?
I just had a question that went on to some of the information we had in the Friday letter from Mr. Kent about the McCallum participation, because I'm very in favor of getting back to the participation rate we used to have in years past, and now with our arts and music grants or designation of funds. I noticed the big difference between, if a school has less classrooms participating than another school, there's a great difference to the cost. And I just think that, I don't know, maybe staff could be encouraged to really embrace that again, especially when the McCallum is being flexible. I know they never decide on the week of the initial training that the teachers have to have at the beginning, but they've been flexible to not interfere with summer schools and stuff like that when they're trying to schedule it. But just that we get more participation at the schools that are costing more per class, because it's really important, and I would like more students to be able to take advantage of it, not with just teachers being able to opt out or principals not. I don't really know what the reasoning is for each school.
So having had the McCallum at Franklin, I can speak to that as a former principal, if that might be helpful. We certainly, to your point, we value it, and I think it's a great experience for students. So certainly we'll make sure that school sites have information that they need, that all that gets out in time so that they can sign up. So that's really clear. There's no questioning that's preventing anyone from participating. It is, as you know, a week-long participation initially to train during the summer, and then in subsequent years, it's 1 day plus 3 performances, I believe. So I know it was very, very difficult to maintain that year after year, because it was hard to get buy-in. I mean, just quite frankly. No. It might have been a site decision. It was 1 day? We paid. Okay, so maybe
First one
1
was
day.
like a donation of 5 days, but after that we got paid the 1 full day, right? Okay.
We can certainly look into it, and certainly with
The money is there, and we need to just give all the children that we can a chance to be a part of that, because
I totally agree.
The teachers are amazing, the teaching artists, and the whole spiel, so.
I just want to echo what Dr. Bowman said. As a current principal, that is always a challenge for us to have teachers commit during the summer for that time. Additionally, with all the other programs we're implementing, the teachers are balancing, hey, we have this, plus we have this. So it is tough. So I just want to echo that sentiment.
Right, and even if we pay them, they still have to volunteer to come. It's not contract time, so yeah.
Okay, I have nothing. Announcements. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be February 6, 2024 in the District Education Boardroom, 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California, 92253. We do not need to reconvene to close session. This meeting is adjourned at 8:59.